High in the Himalayas, a monk sits alone in the snow. The air is far below freezing. The wind cuts through everything. Across his bare shoulders, they drape a sheet soaked in ice water. A sheet this cold, on skin this bare, in air this frozen, should throw the body into violent shivering, toward collapse. But the monk does not shiver. He closes his eyes, he breathes, and he turns his attention inward to a point just below his navel. Minutes pass, and then something begins to rise from his shoulders. Steam. The frozen sheet begins to thaw, then to dry, warmed by a heat pouring out of a body sitting motionless in the snow. This is not a legend whispered in a monastery. It was watched, measured, and written down by scientists from Harvard. And what they found should not be possible. A human being generating fierce heat from within, on command, with nothing but breath and mind. The monks call it tummo. In their language, it means inner fire. It is one of a set of secret teachings passed down for 1,000 years, guarded, given only from master to student. 6 inner practices, and this was the first, the fire that made all the others possible. Because before a monk could meditate through a night in a snowbound cave, he first had to keep himself alive. So the yogis of the high mountains learned to build a furnace inside the body, and they placed that furnace at a single point, just below the navel, the center they believed held the body's heat and vital force. Modern maps of the body have a name for this region too. The core, the furnace of your metabolism. The yogis simply found it first and learned to light it at will. So how does a monk light a fire that has no flame? The practice weaves 3 things together: breath, muscle, and imagination. First, the breath. The monk breathes deep into the belly, then holds it low, packing the breath down like air pressed into a sealed vessel. They call it the Vase breath. The belly rounds and firms, becoming a held container of air and pressure. Second, the muscle. As the breath is held, the muscles of the core tighten and lock gently around it. And here is a quiet secret of the body. Muscle that works, even without moving, makes heat. Hold a muscle tight enough, long enough, and warmth begins to build inside it. Third, and strangest of all, the imagination. The monk pictures a tiny flame at the navel, a single glowing ember, no bigger than a seed. With each breath, he imagines that ember flaring brighter, its warmth climbing up through the channels of the body. Breath feeds it, muscle stokes it, the mind fans it into a blaze, and the body, obeying all 3 at once, grows warm. It sounds like ritual, like the theater of belief, but every piece of it turned out to be doing real, measurable work inside the body. In the early 1980s, a Harvard physician named Herbert Benson traveled to the mountains of northern India. He went to find these monks, and he brought instruments that could measure what they claimed to do. What he recorded was published in one of the world's most respected scientific journals. Using tummo, the monks raised the temperature of their fingers and toes by as much as 8 degrees. Not the core, where the body fights hardest to stay warm. The fingers and the toes, the very edges, the first places the cold usually claims. And draped in wet, freezing sheets, the monks dried them with body heat, alone, one after another. Decades later, another scientist, Maria Kozhevnikov, went further with better tools. She measured not just the skin, but the core body temperature during the Vase breath, and she watched it climb, in some practitioners, all the way into the range of a fever the body was not fighting off, but deliberately creating, from the inside, on purpose. The forceful breath was switching on the body's alarm system, the part that floods you with energy and heat. The locked core muscles were burning fuel and pouring out warmth, and a special kind of fat, buried deep in the body, was igniting to make pure heat. The The mind had not imagined the fire. The mind had lit it. And then this ancient practice did something no one expected. It walked out of the mountains and into a laboratory. A man in the West named Wim Hof rediscovered a version of this breath on his own. He climbed into the death zone of the world's tallest mountains, wearing almost nothing. He sat buried in ice for hours without his core temperature falling. And then he did something that made scientists rewrite what they believed the body could do. At a university in the Netherlands, researchers injected him with a bacterial toxin. Normally, this toxin forces anyone into fever, chills, and violent shaking. The body has no say in it. It was considered part of the automatic body, beyond anyone's control. But using his breath, Wim Hof calmed the storm. His immune system barely reacted. He stayed clear and steady. He had consciously reached into a part of the body science had sworn could not be reached. And when researchers trained ordinary people in the same breath, they could do it too. The fire, it turned out, was never the monks alone. It was a door in the human body, and the breath was the key. Now, you are not trying to melt snow on a mountain, but the furnace the monks lit is the same one sitting in your body right now, mostly unused. Most of us live in heated rooms and warm clothes, and our inner fire has grown quiet and lazy. We have forgotten that the body can warm itself, energize itself, and steady itself from within. The same breath that let a monk survive a frozen night can do quieter, everyday things for you. It can flood you with warmth and alertness on a cold, heavy morning. It can lift your body out of sluggishness and into energy in a matter of minutes. It can build your resilience to cold and to stress a little more each time you practice, not by magic, by lighting a fire that has always been yours. So here is a gentle beginning, a safe taste of the monk's fire that you can try in the morning. First, a word of care. This breath is powerful, so never practice it in water, in a bath, or while driving. Sit somewhere safe, and if you ever feel lightheaded, simply stop and let your breath return to normal. Now sit tall and rest your hands over your lower belly, just below the navel. Take a slow, deep breath down into that space, letting the belly round out fully beneath your hands. Gently hold it there for a few comfortable seconds and softly firm the muscles of your belly around the breath. As you hold, picture a small warm ember glowing right there, just below your navel. Then release the breath slowly and let the belly soften. That is one round. Breathe in low, hold and firm, and picture the ember, then let go. Do just a few slow rounds to begin, perhaps 5. With each round, imagine the ember glowing a little warmer, a little brighter, spreading a soft heat through your middle. You may begin to feel it, a genuine warmth rising through your belly and chest. That warmth is not imagined. It is your own inner fire, answering the breath exactly as it answered the monks. This is the smallest seed of tummo, gentle, safe, and entirely yours. High in the mountains, a monk sits in the snow, dry and warm, while the world around him freezes. For 1,000 years, we called that a miracle, a power that belonged to saints and mystics alone. But it was never a miracle. It was a fire, built into the center of every human body, waiting for the breath that would wake it. Tonight, or tomorrow when you wake, rest your hands over your belly, breathe down into the dark, and light the ember that has been waiting there at the center of you all along.